it really quick?
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Johnson, and you are...
I'm Donna McCartney.
Yes, and we're here, sorry, there we go. We're here to talk about building the perfect resume. Both Donna and I are librarians at the Vernon Area Library, so we are reachable and people that you can come to if you have any questions in the future. This is being recorded, so if you like what you hear, feel free to share it with your friends, your family, anybody who you think might need it, or go back and watch it again on our YouTube channel when we're all done here. I'll be sure to send the link out after we're done and straight to your email. So if you registered, you'll get the link, or you can just visit the library's YouTube page. We always have programming digitally during the COVID time, so please continue to check the library's website and look out for other programs that we have coming up on all different topics. This program in particular is part of a collaboration with the Lake Cook Career Collaborative, which is a collection of different libraries who are trying to help folks who are underemployed or unemployed get to where they want to be as far as their job and their career. So if you're interested in that collaboration or want to know what other programs we have coming up with all the different libraries, just visit careercollab.org and you can learn more about it there. All right, so let's jump right in. We're going to talk a little bit about best practices having to do with preparing to write and applying. So one of the things that I like to do when I'm preparing to apply for a job and create a large master resume. So this is a giant information dump. Every job, every skill, every large project, every important statistic or project initiative that you've completed into one large document. And here you might disregard every rule there is about length. So when you're applying, we'll talk about it later on, but it's best to kind of keep your resume as little as short as possible. So 1 to 2 pages. But in this sort of information dump version master resume that I'm talking about, there is no rule about length. Put it all down, and that way it becomes sort of a pool to be able to pull from your experience and put it into another resume that you will then in turn send out to an employer, a potential employer. So yeah, that's a separate document that you're not going to send out, but you're just going to prepare it. Another thing that I like to do, because this inevitably happens to all of us, is I like to prepare a spreadsheet or a simple like Excel document with all of the relevant information that might appear on an online application. So, you know, when you're applying for a job, you'll often have the opportunity to share attach a file, your resume, attach a cover letter, attach your references, but they will also ask that you put basically all of that same information into a submittable form onto their website. And this can get a little cumbersome because it's not like you know off the top of your head the address and the phone number or even the last name of a former supervisor that you had 10 years ago. So I like to create this document and have it as a template to kind of copy and paste into those submittable forms that will inevitably come up in any job search. And this is a separate document. You know, you can keep it off to the side. And also sort of a pro tip would be to build your template from the first time that you sort of run into this. So if you are applying for a job and this is the case, when you're answering their questions about addresses or supervisor phone numbers or things like that, just open up another tab and start a Google Sheet or something like this. This is just a screenshot of something I sort of demoed for this class, and put all the same information in there. And different forms might have different information, but if you're looking it up one time, why not throw it into this form just so you have it? You'll even see, I can't scroll over in this sheet, but far to the right, it says things like your duties that you are responsible for. So if you have just a small block of text or a list of things that you are responsible for, it will really save you time in the long run if you have it all in one place, if you're kind of going at the job search pretty hard. Whoops. The next section is to write for the job. Once you've identified a position that you think is a good match, it's important to save and organize position documents. So for me, this is saving the job description in a named folder, either on your hard drive or in the cloud. So at the library, we use Google Docs and Google Cloud, and in my personal life, I use that as well too. So what I'll do is I'll create a folder that'll just be the name of the title, or the title of the position, and the name of the company that I'm applying to. And then in that folder, I will have the job description. Perhaps it's just a screenshot of the job description, or a PDF of the job description, wherever you find it. I might even do a screenshot of where I found the job. So if I found it on a job board somewhere, or if I found it on the company's website, I just like to keep track of that, because then it's kind of a point of conversation too. Like, how did you hear about this job? Oh, I heard about it here. Or sometimes the wording is different too. So in the short description that you might see on Deed, there might be differences in the description, or the way that they explain the job, that don't really show up in the description, the official description from the company. So I like to keep everything in one spot. I'll also, in this same folder, save my updated resume. So I'll build out a framework from my master resume, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But everything that I send to this company for this job will live in one folder. Okay. So like I said, I like to have that big master resume, and I go through and heavily weed out non-relevant experience and information. So if I have a 3 or 4 page resume, or resume of everything that I did from, after I graduated high school until today, I might go in and think to myself, is it really important that they know about this job that I held in college? Sometimes it might be, like, if you're doing if you're changing industries or going into a different field where a skill set was something that you did as a large part of your job, but it was a long time ago. I think it's still important and fair to include that stuff. But if that's the case, you're applying to a job in the same sort of career line that you had for the last 5 years, that job, 15 years ago probably isn't as relevant as it was, 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So thinking about how you cut the fat right off the top. It's also important to remember that a resume you send to potential employers isn't meant to communicate your complete work and education history. It's meant to capture the attention of a hiring manager and make them think, oh, this person can solve the problem that we're looking to solve. And hopefully, ideally, invite you in for an interview. So what I like to do, and what Don and I are going to talk about, is taking that copy of your master resume, printing it out if you can, printing out a copy of the description, and highlighting important relevant information from the job description, and finding where it's relevant in your master resume, and creating your new resume to send to the job for consideration. I think this is over to you, right, Donna?
Yeah. So as Ashley was saying, go back one. Yeah. This isn't an actual position that I found advertised online. And what that looks like when you highlight the keywords, no, go back. Yeah, there. Okay. You want to go through and find the commonality in the job description. Basically sit down with a highlighter, really read it, go through, highlight the points that seem important, especially the ones that are mentioned repeatedly or anything that's slightly out of the ordinary. And the points you could speak to with your experience and skills. So in this job description, I highlighted a few keywords. We see that there's an emphasis on confidentiality, coordination, and handling important documents and schedules. So what you're going to do is match up your relevant experience that matches with the job description. So next slide, Ashley. So this is what that looks like. Look at the job description physically next to your resume. What's relevant information on your resume that is relevant for the job description? What's irrelevant? Get rid of it, the irrelevant stuff. If you have volunteer work that is relevant, that isn't reflected in your job description, go ahead and include that. Is your hobby related to the job you're applying to? For example, do you write a blog? Even if you write a blog about cooking, that's still relevant experience if you're applying for a digital marketing position. Ashley, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm trying to, my thing is blocking me from seeing what's, I just wanted to kind of, yeah, there we go. There we go. I think the key here is just catering to the keywords from the job description. We're going to talk about ATS here shortly, but that's really kind of at the core of this, and clarity. When you're considering who's reading it and how fast they're reading it, sometimes these reviewers and HR managers, or even, you know, hiring managers, have a stack this thick of these on their desk. So the quicker you can get to your point, the better. And if you're using the words they're using, then they know that you are paying attention and that you can solve their problem.
So by highlighting the important qualifications and the terms used in the job description, you've been selecting the keywords which will unlock success within the company's ATS that they're using. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System. Next slide. So an applicant tracking system is basically a database of job applicants for the companies. ATS are used by companies of all sizes to organize, search, and communicate with large groups of applicants. 98% of Fortune 500 companies are using ATS. So you need to find a way to work through the clutter and get noticed. These systems analyze resumes and CVs to find candidates that best match the position that they're hiring for. So basically, the process of job hunting has been redefined. It's really easy to apply for multiple jobs online, but what's happening is that semi-qualified candidates are getting through. So employers have to sift through these. So they've turned to ATS systems to weed out the less qualified candidates. The problem is that qualified applicants, such as yourself, can slip through the cracks. Fortunately, there are tools available on the web to help you pre-scan and prepare your resume for review. We like jobscan.co, and these will be on a LibGuide that Ashley has created for you, so you don't need to take notes on that. And the library has tools to help you refine your resume too. Some pretty exciting things. So basically, savvy job hunters like yourself need to learn the new rules of the road here. Next slide. Okay, so how do we craft our resumes to ensure that it makes it to a real person. Okay, so first thing, you want to turn your vague bullet points into compelling accomplishments. Quantifiable results are specific statements such as increase sales by 40% in 18 months, or something like decrease delivery time by 30 hours per week, resulting in a savings of $145,000 a month. Most candidates can list what they did, but few list measurable accomplishments. So measurable, wait a minute, go back. Yeah, there. You also want to remove negative keywords, also called words to avoid from your resume. These include cliches and other phrases that will be red flags to the hiring manager. An example of a negative keyword is team player. Okay, we've all used that. That's been beaten to death, basically. While it's an important skill, it isn't quantifiable, and it's used in far too many resumes. Thirdly, most ATS consider frequency a factor. The more often a skill or keyword appears, the more important it is deemed by the ATS. And that's called match rate. So the employer is going to be looking at the match rate. So if you've managed through lots of parts of your career and that's really relevant to the position you're applying for, use manager lots of times, okay? And then finally, if a job description lists a skill in plural or other variant form, you're going to want to match what the employer has in their job description. Something as simple as monthly audits. If it's plural and the job description says monthly audit, it's possible that the ATS will kick it out because it's not an exact match. You also want to be careful about using abbreviations. Okay, so something as simple as master's degree. If you have a master's degree in business, you might want to put that plus MBA. Don't just put MBA in business. It might not be picked up by the ATS. Okay, next slide. Is this you or me?
I think it was me.
Okay.
This is we're going to start talking about what they look like now and how they should be built out. Both Donna and I, we talked about this a little bit in preparation for this, is all of the templates out there. I don't know if you've been on Word for a while or even Google Docs. There are so many free templates out there to use. And I think we both sort of agreed that when it comes to resumes, especially resumes that have these sort of like robots and ATS behind them, it's almost better and easier for everyone to kind of cut the formatting and go slow with templates. If it's a super basic template that's really just kind of giving you an idea of what to say, give it a shot. But if it's some of the more designer looking ones have boxes in the margin, and there's tables, and there's sort of like grids for how good you are at a skill. Skip all that and just do your basic, tabbed indent style resume. And that is for sure not to be confused on the ATS systems. And it's honestly easier to read for somebody that, again, might have a stack of resumes on their desk that's a little harder for them to fly through when there's something that's amiss. Really spend a lot of time and consider your grammar and tense. When you are adding things to your resume, so say it's kind of also best practice to update every time you get a new job instead of when you need a new job, to change the tense of your past employers or positions to be a past tense and your current position to be a present tense, and make sure that that consistency is, that there's consistency there, that the most recent is present and all others are past. Also consider industry-specific resume practices. This is a little trickier, I think, for us as librarians, that we know a lot, but we don't know how every single industry prefers their resumes to be written. Some resumes for the sciences are a little bit more, I would say, on the curriculum vitae sort of scale, like longer, there's a lot more information, there's lots of different sections, or more simple, which we're going to go over a couple different styles, but really pay attention to what's the norm in your industry and go with that. And like Donna mentioned, use specifics, especially in numbers. You want to have quantifiable examples versus more just sort of statement examples when you're talking about completed projects or initiatives. And off to the right here, we have a list of tons of wonderful action verbs. This will also be linked on the LibGuide that we have to share with you guys at the end here, to kind of give descriptive emphasis to things that you've done, and have them be action oriented versus the alternative or passive. Oops.
Okay, I'll go from here. Just to reiterate, highlight accomplishments, not tasks. So it's a little blurry, I'm sorry, but on this slide, you can see that for this administrative assistant position, they didn't just streamline direct office services. They saved $150,000 a year. That's way more impressive than just saying I streamlined services to save money. If you're having trouble coming up with those, as Ashley said in the beginning, add that to your spreadsheet. Go back, create a brag sheet or a brag sheet column on your master list. Talk about your unique value in each role that you held in maybe the last 3 jobs that you held, and think about 3 major projects and focus on the quantitative and qualitative achievements that you accomplished in those jobs. It'll be way easier to pull that from your sheet if you thought about it ahead of time than trying to, think about it under the gun of actually applying in the moment. Next slide. Okay. These are some of the most efficient resume approaches. So start your sentences with action verbs. Your bullet points should have action verbs. And that's the list that we just showed you that also appears on the LibGuide, so you can access it. No sleeping in when you're looking for a job. Send your resume in between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. And along with that, send your resume in within 1 to 4 days of job posting. You can see here that sending it in between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m., 89% more likelihood that it's going to get looked at. Same thing with sending it in 1 to 4 days within job posting, 65% more likelihood it's going to get looked at. Include a key skills section if you cannot work your skills into your job description. If you have that skill, go ahead and create a key skills section to promote yourself that way. Don't use personal pronouns. Instead, include strong leadership-oriented words, okay? Once again, avoid team player phrases. Also, things like hardworking, detailed-oriented. Who knows what that means? Okay, it's different from every person and every job. Demonstrate your results with numbers. We're kind of hitting you over the head with that, right? And use keywords and industry jargon, especially important in niche industries or specialty industries. Okay, you can do a Google search on industry jargon if you need to. But once again, that should appear in the job description. Next slide. So some of the most common resume mistakes, proof, and then have someone else proof your resume and your cover letter, because biggest mistake, typos and bad grammar, okay? Next down the line, unprofessional email address. beachbabe86@gmail.com doesn't sound very professional, does it? So, try to keep it your last name, first name, or initials or whatever, but make sure it's a professional email address. They're free. You can have as many as you want. Resume without quantifiable results. Once again, add numbers. Resume with long paragraphs of text. That's where your bullet points come in, short and concise descriptions. And finally, the resume is generic, not customized to the company. Employers are going to be looking at it, say, did you even read the ad? So, take the time to look at the ad and make it customized to that company. Okay, now Ashley is going to talk about the best resume format for you.
Yeah, so in preparing, we've sort of identified 3 general styles of resumes that tend to really work best for job seekers. The first one, and kind of the one that I've always used, and it's sort of the simplest one, but is the chronological resume. It's best for job seekers who want to showcase steady employment history, who are looking for a position that matches or logically progresses from previous jobs, and ones that are seeking a conventional position like an office clerk, accountant, teacher, or librarian. So you can see in the image to the right, we grabbed these from Indeed. This one does include a summary or objective. Neither Donna or I have a summary or objective in our own resumes, but I think this might be one of those things where we talk about an industry trend or an industry norm. I know a lot of times people do include a summary or objective, so that doesn't mean that it's wrong that we don't do it. It's just that that's not the industry norm in librarianship. And then starting from your most current or your present professional experience down to wherever it is you choose to end. So like I was mentioning, you might want to, if you're looking for a job in a progressive sort of progressive way, progressively advancing from jobs that you've had in the past, you might not need to or want to go past about 10 years or 12 years of your employment history, unless you've only been at one job for that long, or maybe you've switched roles in that job. So you might pull those out as individual positions. Include your educational history. So something that's sort of new is in here, they don't have it, but where people actually take their date range of their employment or their educational history out. So it's kind of educational history and dates is something that can aid you and to, prevent any sort of ageist hiring or non-hiring or choosing or not choosing. It's easiest and it's kind of best practice to just leave the dates of your education out because it's really not necessary. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Sure, absolutely.
So I was doing a little more reading, and one of the suggestions was for your address, to just put in your city, state, and zip code, because some of the larger ATS applications, some look at your zip code and some look at the city or state to see if you're in the geographical area that they're looking for. So you don't need to put your full address, but include your city, state, and zip code.
Okay. Very good. Okay, so that's chronological resume. Now we're going to look at functional resume. So this is a less popular option, but it lists accomplishments and skills at the top of the resume. It's less popular with recruiters and best used if there are large gaps in employment history. So maybe this is an option for folks that, had a pause in employment over COVID, or maybe you stopped to take care of a family member or be a caregiver. Maybe you went to school in the middle of something. There's lots of reasons for large gaps, and there's nothing wrong with them, but a functional resume kind of smooths that over a little bit. It's good for homemakers, college students, career changes, military personnel, and it should still be combined with a chronological, it could still be combined with a chronological resume if possible. So we're going to take a look at the hybrid option. But in the example here, you can see they also include a summary, but then after it's skills grouped by theme. So if the job that you're applying to has a large project management component, you can put all of the ways and projects and quantifiable things that you've done related to project management, or they say complaint resolution, service-based selling, all of those things. If they're not specifically related to a position and you're not choosing the chronological option, maybe it's experience that you've had being in your kids' PTO or at your kids' school, or volunteer experience that you've had since, college or something like that. It's an option for you to make your skills stand out versus your sort of traditional job experience. And then the third and final is, of course, the combination or the hybrid option. So this is the two that we've already mentioned mixed together to make a beautiful little baby. This is actually a very popular option. People are starting to use it, doing both, having that skills section. I think Donna sort of alluded to the combination option may have you may have obtained the required skills from seemingly unrelated jobs or industries. So that's that volunteer experience or non-paid positions. You're trying to change careers, so you don't necessarily want to emphasize your title or where you did it, but the fact that you come with transferable skills. That's what you want to highlight, and that's how this option really is made and how it can help you, and that you have a steady work history. So you can still include professional experience in a chronological fashion, but it gives you room to share your skills and abilities in those sort of themed sections. Yeah. In this one, they also have, extracurricular things, places that you'd include awards or acknowledgements. Okay, so we're going to pause here for questions. Please, I encourage you to use the chat feature, or since we're in a meeting style, you're welcome to unmute yourself and turn on your camera, or just unmute yourself. You don't have to turn on your camera, but let us know if you have any questions. I do, while you're thinking about your questions, want to remind you that there is a part 2 to this program. It's next week on the same day and time. Go to visit the library's website, vapld.info, to register for that. And this is where we're going to focus a little bit more on that formatting part. So it's going to be a little bit more hands-on and specific, but please go ahead and register for that. There's a few extra spots left. Here's both mine and Donna's contact info. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions or if you want any suggestions. Does anybody have any questions in the chat?
Okay, I just want to say that the idea behind this having 2 parts is that you have a week to work on your resume. So if you do want to work on your resume during the class next week, there will be an opportunity to do that. So we can help you with your formatting, or you can always make an appointment with Ashley or myself, or actually Brianna would be able to set up a 45-minute appointment to work on your document. So next, I think, Ashley, if there are no questions, Ashley's going to take us to the LibGuide that we created on our website, so that you can see the resources that the library has to offer during your job search.
Oh, it looks like there is a chat. Okay, somebody asked, what if the work that you have done doesn't really lend itself to quantifiable accomplishments? That's a really good question, and that's actually something that I struggle with myself. Not that I haven't done it, I might just not be aware of it. I might not be aware of the quantifiable impact of the work that I've done. I think starting now in your job, really try to find those numbers where you can. If you can think about your annual budgets. So if you are responsible for keeping a stocked office, sort of supply closet, consider that. Like, I managed a budget of blank, or what else, Donna? What are some good
Or
examples?
even, I mean, for us, it's what was our increase in attendance for programs? It could be something along those lines. It doesn't have to always be about money. It could be engagement. It could be how many more individuals you touched with the work that you're doing. There's usually something that you can add up that looks like a quantifiable result.
Yeah, and if you have a year, I think this last COVID year has been unique because you can see where your strengths sort of have stuck out. What's something new that you did that's on the top of your mind? That's the hardest part about the quantifiable examples, is that you need to just start somewhere. If you start doing that today and you have a new job in a year from now, then you collect them there. And then just like that, in 3 years, you have 2 jobs with 2 examples of quantifiable growth or development that you've done. So the hardest part is really just getting started with it. But I think money is a good one. More customers, more this, or less of something. We were able to cut this in half because this was a problem that we had, or an issue that we were able to solve. I hope that helps. I know it's not extremely obvious, but it's hard when we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of your job. But the hardest part is getting started. There was another question that said, is there any specific order of categories that we should be putting in the resume? Donna, do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure what you mean by categories.
I think he means like, do you put your education first, or your job first, or your
I would put
employment history?
I mean, if you're uploading it to an ATS, there probably is not. But if you're applying to a smaller company, somebody's still going to look at your resume. So yes, I would think the most relevant skills should be up top, so that it catches someone's eye. Your education in some industries might be more important, but I would think, job skills would be number one.
I agree.
And we did talk about adding a personal objective. I do that, and I'm sure Ashley does too. We do that in our LinkedIn page because employers are going to look at your LinkedIn. So that's kind of where I put my philosophy of work, or my objective. So, there's always another place for that. They aren't just looking at your resume any longer.
Yeah, isn't that wild? It's like, I saw a statistic the other day that said 100% of employers are Googling your name. So if you don't have a LinkedIn and it doesn't look good, spend some time doing that. We'll have a whole nother program on that. But okay, so I just pulled up our website, and LinkedIn reminded me that we have LinkedIn Learning. Well, here, let me first pull up if you're at our website, vapld.info, and you click on research, and you go down to help guides, this is kind of the best kept secret about the library's website, I think. There's a whole huge list of things that we've organized for patrons or anybody kind of searching the web to be able to learn a little bit more. But one of them is careers and job hunting. If you click on that, it's got a couple things going on here. So we've got the Lake Cook Career Collaborative, which I mentioned, and then information about finding a job, improving your skills, researching potential employers, and links to job, general info about jobs. So first, right here in improve your skills. So did you want me to click into it, Donna, or what do you think?
Yeah, you're sharing the screen. So,
Okay.
well, okay, that's fine. So lynda.com, if you've used that before, has migrated to LinkedIn Learning. So actually within LinkedIn Learning, there are job hunting resources. So I encourage you to try that out.
Yeah, let me
You
try and
can
log in.
also, go ahead, while you're logging in, I'll talk. So
okay, I'll
you
have
can,
to, sorry, I'll have to block out my code. Nobody
yeah.
stole my library card number.
What was I going to say? If you take classes in LinkedIn Learning now, you can put them on your LinkedIn account. So they will show certificates from LinkedIn. So there is a way to do that. It's a little hidden, but I can help you figure that out at another time, how to do that. So if you go to browse next to LinkedIn Learning, yeah, you'll see the different business topics, and over to the right, there's career development up top. So career management, personal branding, job searching, lots of information here. But if you need to brush up on skills, you can brush up on Microsoft Office skills, database management, there's a lot here. So computer skills, there's a lot here that can be linked to your LinkedIn account.
Yeah, this is a really great tool that we have, and it's kind of one of our more popular databases and tools that we have. Did you have anything else about LinkedIn?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
You want to show them Tutor.com?
Yeah, that's a good one. So actually, if you click on resumes and interviews here, it's another tab. It opens up a different part of this LibGuide. Library resources, tutor.com. I just found out about this and I love it. It's old news. I don't know why I just found out about it. It's kind of a thing that we promote to kids and like high school students.
I think you need to click on it again. Sorry.
Let's see. Oh goodness.
We're gonna have your card memorized.
I know. I don't even have it memorized. Something. Ugh. Oh my gosh, that's one good thing about the coronavirus. I finally got around to memorizing my library card number. Okay, so you can, I think it's in other tools. No, I think it's a submit. And you have to sign in. Oh geez. Well, in here, you'll have to create your own account and submit, and there's a section for submitting a resume, and they will actually review your resume. Let's see what happens when you connect. Yeah, they're closed since it's intended for like high school students or just regular school-age children. They don't open till 2, but they will offer you live resume review. And I've actually done it, and it's quite good. They will consider things that you might not see, like grammar and tense and periods, like consistency. Are you always ending and beginning sentences with a capital and ending them with a period, but then somehow you stop doing that and you make more statement-based points? they'll catch little things like that are, it really adds to the sort of tidiness of your resume. So this is a tool to consider, tutor.com.
Yeah, especially if you don't have anyone to proofread your resume for you, that's a great resource to use to have that extra set of eyes.
The only thing is that they don't necessarily have, industry experience, but it is for just sort of cleanup, tidiness. Also on here, what else do we have on here? Oh, the articles. So how to beat an applicant tracking system was something that we looked at. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was under here, get started. The 10 current resume trends and forecasts. This was a really good article. You should take a look at it. I was very impressed by it. That action verbs for resumes, that master list. So I'm going to just open it, but it's actually 2 pages of words that, unless you have a thesaurus right in front of you, I tend to just reuse the word developed over and over and over. But now I'm like, oh, maybe I should look at this list and give mine a little update, a little refresher. So there's that. And then we cited an article called "Your Resume Probably Needs a Pandemic Makeover," and this tells you why and how you can kind of make, if you had a job pause or you were furloughed or something happened to you as far as your career goes over the last year and a half. This article gives you some good ideas on how to smooth that over a little bit. Also in here we have just additional local resources and links for help from like the Illinois WorkNet or the Job Center of Lake County, and all the job search engines that you could think of. So with that,
there is one more resource that is not appearing here, and it's a newer database that the library is subscribed to called Treehouse. I don't know if you want to go there.
I can. Let me just go to the library's website.
And Treehouse is really nice, similar to lynda.com or LinkedIn Learning, as it's known now. Treehouse is an online learning platform for, click on the Treehouse link there, up there. Yeah, let's see if it takes you to.
I haven't created an account yet.
Yeah, sorry. So Treehouse is for more digital skills. So if you're need to brush up in data analysis or programming or coding, Treehouse is the place for you. So really high quality, multiple languages. I would encourage you to request an account with Treehouse and check out.
And it's free, right, Donna?
It's free with your library card. Yeah, don't sign up through here.
Okay.
Sign up through the library site. Okay.
Oh, wow, awesome. Value. I love that. Okay. Yeah, I know I've heard of, kind of kids doing it. It's like the first step to coding, but you're saying that there's even advanced.
This Treehouse is actually geared towards adults. So there are videos and then there are modules that you complete to test out of each module. So it's a pretty good learning tool.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing and we can pause for questions or if you have any comments or anything. Otherwise, please consider, reaching out to us individually. If you have a resume that you'd like us to take a look at, we're happy to do that. Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for coming today. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask or stick around. Otherwise, I hope we see you next week at the resume writing class. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And watch out for the recording. I'll send it to everybody's email. Have a great afternoon.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks.